Hi everybody, welcome to Healthcare Sucks, and we're going to jump right into some videos before I give you my spiel.
And washing your hands are the most effective. Wearing a mask and washing your hands are the most effective ways the public can help prevent the spread of the coronavirus. But with so many types of products on the market, it can be confusing for consumers. Lee Kyung-eun provides some important tips.
The coronavirus outbreak has triggered a nationwide rush for masks in South Korea. Drugstores, supermarkets, and even online stores are struggling to keep up with the skyrocketing demand.
Even in the USA, it's hard to get any online, so I've been recommending while they're still available, and I'll try to go through what I got. I got my package today within 2 or 3 days, 3 days I think it was. Harbor Freight Tools, guys.
I've tried lots of places, but they all sold out.
Now, because of the new Chinese virus, mostly all the masks in my districts are sold out.
And lots of customers are looking for a particular type of mask.
Many people ask for disinfection masks that have the KF label, the 80, 94, and 99.
The numbers of the KF or Korea filter masks show their filtering ability. The KF80 can filter more than 80% of particles that are 0.6 micrometers or larger. The KF94 can block 94% of particles that are as small as 0.4 micrometers, and the KF99 can block 99% of these particles.
Now, personally, I've watched a lot of videos. Nobody's broke down exactly how big the boogies are, the spitty was, or the spit was, or whatever you want to call it, the spits, the mist in the air, the woo-ha, deadly mist.
But experts say when it comes to preventing the infection of the novel coronavirus, it doesn't matter which type of mask you use because the virus spreads through large droplets.
The virus doesn't come out itself. It comes out surrounded by saliva when you cough. And those droplets are bigger than 0.5 micrometers, which can be filtered.
And there you have it, guys. Right from not knowing to now we know. And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. Anyway, so 0.5.
by most general or medical masks. In fact, it is hard to breathe through masks with high KF numbers, so people are prone to taking them off.
Experts say how you wear your mask is more important. The mask should tightly cover your face and your nose, and you should adjust it so that it fits the shape of your nose. Experts say wearing a mask can also help prevent secondary infection.
You also have to be careful about the secondary or indirect infections from some droplets, meaning you pick up the virus by touching an object with your hand and then touch.
And it only took me coming out and others saying that you can get it by touching surfaces. They didn't. Again, the people behind supposed to be telling us the truth didn't tell us about that for like 3 weeks. It's nice to be let in the circle, isn't it?
In your face. Wearing a mask can lower the chances of that happening.
To make sure that people have no problem getting hold of masks, the government announced on Thursday that people can report illegal trading activities to the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety. Lee Kyung-eun, Arirang News.
Beijing, the gate to the Forbidden City covered in snow. A few people have come out to take in the spectacle, but getting inside is out of the question. Just like almost all public facilities, Beijing's most famous historic site remains closed.
It's good that the government took these measures. We support them. We'd appreciate even stricter measures.
Business activity has largely come to a halt across much of the capital.
This is usually a bustling commercial street, lots of souvenir shops, snack shops. Tourists who visit Beijing usually come to spend time here. Today, I'm the only one.
And what they're saying about the virus as far as the cold and the heat and stuff, I've heard a little of both sides, but I guess I'm going to go with Dr. Campbell. I believe was saying that if it heats up, it kills it at a certain point. Just like when you have a fever, it kills it. So the cold is keeping it around. Also, whether you picked up on my last video, they're saying up to 30 days possibly. Not just 5 on surfaces, possibly 30. And let's look at something else. You know, they're taking these woolly mammoths and things out of Antarctica, the North Pole, other regions, and they're finding that things are still alive in the, you know, the viruses and the bloods and etc. And there's certain insects and certain types of, we already know viruses and things that live or go dormant and then come back out and survive these things. So, take another look at the city and we'll be on to the next thing.
Today, human interaction has become suspicious. This shop asks its customers to stay outside and communicate their needs from the outside. Some pharmacies take the same approach. Everyone is wary.
It's a national emergency. We stand together.
Standing together should not be taken literally. Residential complexes keep strangers out. In this compound, visitors have to register with their ID. The guards look for the place of birth.
Hubei people can't get in even if they live here. They'll be quarantined.
People from Hubei province, where the virus originated, are to be isolated in this hotel. Discrimination against them is now rampant. At the entrance to the subway system, a mandatory temperature check. Inside, the same sight as everywhere in the city, lots of space. Trains are running as usual.
Which they've never had that kind of thing. If you know, it's always like New York kind of thing. Just people on top of people all over the place. So this is like nuts, guys. And what they just were talking about is locking these Wuhan people up and basically branding them. I have to say this, and I hope it don't offend nobody, but you know, the lefties would be all like bent out of shape. Oh my God, you're being prejudiced. You're being prejudiced. Let's hope to God that in America, we, for once, all come together. The lefties, the righties, the reddies, the blueies, the whateveries, and we take precautions, because if we don't, we're going to be in trouble with this one. And there, you can't make exceptions. We just need to make damn sure. These quarantines need to happen, guys. Of course, you know, there's this worry about martial law thing. But let's catch it and keep it under control before it has to come to that. That's what I'm going to say about it. And here's something on pets. Set up to 50,000 pets. I bet there's a hell of a lot more than that. In the city with that many million, I would say there's probably equal on that many animals. So who knows, guys? And if this traveled from supposedly one direction, it can travel back the other way, guys. It just said they're breaking into empty homes or people's homes and helping the animals, good or bad, breaking into homes. I mean, again, that sounds like a video game or a end of day kind of movie. I don't know. We're getting there fast. Definitely over there. It's coming. while that might be very kind, guys, those people are putting their lives in danger, especially with the little itty-bitty mask thing going into that. I mean, it's humane. It's the right thing to do, not let animals and things suffer. But, man, they're taking a risk. So let's hope the Lord is on their side and they have the shields and the armor of the Lord. Jesus Christ, our Savior. As do you, my friends and watchers. Bless you, and may you have the armor and the shield and the protection of the Lord. Amen. This is about one of the 8 original whistleblower doctors. Unfortunately, he lost his life. But he did come out against, you know how their country is and their government and everything else, and blow the whistle. Otherwise, this thing might even be back further. So what do we say to people like that? Hero. He was a hero. And here we are with the countdown. As you notice, supposedly 28,000. But as we're going to hear in a few minutes, that number, they're saying is a heck of a lot higher, guys. And with that, it's time to bring up the countdown. China virus plague countdown from Super Bowl Sunday. 9 days, 14 hours, 30 minutes, and 57 seconds. And what that is, if you haven't been watching, is my own countdown to 14 days after the Super Bowl. And what that is without a doubt, by 14 days after the Super Bowl, we're going to kind of know where we're at in the USA and everywhere else, I think. And then they're talking about months with this thing. So this thing, they kept tap it down, like it's going to be days or weeks. No, they're talking months. I mean, and heaven forbid this thing go awry, we could be looking at end of day situation. One more time. We are down to 9 days, 14 hours, 30 minutes, and 11 seconds. Let's hope and pray to God this thing does go the other direction soon. And if somebody's holding on to a way to cure this or a way to treat it, they come out. Instead of holding back like we've seen in the movies in real life where companies hold back and make billions of dollars off of stuff. Something like this, we need not worry about getting rich. We need to save people. But with Agenda 21, One World Government, Event 201, Mr. Bill Gates and his little plans and words that we've all heard, we know where this is heading. And with that, we're going to jump back in to the good report. Again, this report, usually I'm catching everything, but this was brought to me by Dutch Sense, the great earthquake detective. Check him out, because the man knows what the heck is going on when it comes to earthquakes.
From Wuhan, traveling to the United States, we know that all flights from Hubei province in the coming to the United States are being directed to 7 U.S. airports where people are being screened. How effective is that?
Well, I think that is going to turn out to be quite effective because, first of all, if you're in Hubei province, which is where Wuhan city is, that you are at a very high risk of exposure. So if you were in that area in the previous 14 days and you want to come to the United States, if you are someone who's an American citizen, you are going to have 14 days of institutionally structured quarantine. If you come from other parts of China and you're an American citizen who's coming into the country and you've been there in China within the previous 14 days, when you enter the country, you're going to have what's called self-imposed voluntary isolation and reporting frequently to health officials.
Which is BS. Everybody coming needs the 14 days lockdown. I'm period, guys. I know I'm a skeptic over lockdowns too. But with this, this is how it's going to be 12 monkeys, guys. I've been saying it. Go back and look at my videos way back. I've been preaching 12 monkeys since the beginning of this thing. Because it has a 12 monkey vibe, guys. And with these idiots, oh, you get to make a decision if you're not a U.S. I mean, like, we're going to just let them decide to bring the plague over here? It's just ridiculous when I think about it.
The New York Times is reporting that the most vulnerable target for this virus is the continent of Africa. There's almost 1 million Chinese expatriate workers there. There are also many, many African students who are studying in China. They travel back and forth between China and the countries in Africa. How big a risk is this?
Well, the risk is always greater when you have a situation in which you don't have a healthcare system that can do the kind of identification, isolation, and contact tracing. I mean, I hope that the situation stays the same as it is right now in the United States, where we have very successfully been able to identify these people who came into the country when they were infected. We've been able to isolate them, and we've been able to do contact tracing. But if you have a country whose healthcare system is not able to do that, that makes it much more risky that there will be spread from one person to another, what we call the kind of persistent transmissibility that leads to outbreak. It's called sustained transmission. And when you get sustained transmission, that's how you get the seeding of a serious outbreak.
Dr. Fauci, thanks so much for joining us.
And while this warms up, we're going to jump into a little bit more with this gentleman because he knows what the heck is going on and what the hell he's talking about. So, again, guys, you make the decisions. I bring you the stuff. I'm just trying to help. Love me, hate me, whatever. I can handle it. I can take the heat because I'm healthcare sucks. So we'll bring this to you.
61 people have now died and more than 17,000 are infected with the coronavirus. The majority of cases remain in the city of Wuhan in Hubei province in China.
What I do want to show you guys is we've got hospitals over here. These are like big units, big building shed type things. And it looked like they were setting up beds in there. So like, I guess the more severe cases would be in that lockdown situation. The less severe. But yeah, you know, unless we're really watching what's going on there and what's being built, we have no idea. What I'm watching for, and it was brought to me by somebody I watch, Mr. Snaps. That's right. Anybody who knows me and knows Mr. Snaps, he's a smart guy. That's Mr. Snafu. Talked about old like hospitals and old chimney stacks and old burning situations. I've already spoke to you about they're already cremating bodies. But when we go to mass and we can see that kind of thing coming, these numbers that they're throwing out, like I showed you previously, we'll go back and look at that screen where it's like 1,200 now have just revived and doing great and whatever. Where are these 1,200 people, guys? And the few I've seen interviews from, those are staged. Those people are like, oh, I'm doing very well today. I feel great. I recover. I'm super, super great. And I'm like, yeah, right. You could just tell, guys. You know, some things are too phony.
China, where a makeshift hospital built in just 9 days opened its doors on Monday to patients. We'll have more on China's response in just a moment, but first I spoke with Dr. Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases in Maryland, right here in the United States, and asked him for his assessment of the outbreak.
Whenever you have an infection like this, the number, the 17,000 number, are really people who have been brought to the attention of health authorities. Of those, about 25% have very serious illness. If you look at respiratory-borne illnesses such as these, there are almost certainly a considerably larger number of people who are actually infected that are being counted. So there are some estimates, you know, they vary from model to model, but there are certain estimates that say that, you know, 75 to 100,000 people are likely infected.
There are some experts, yourself included, who believe...
So did you hear, like, there is chronically ill and other sick people, etc., and people that have not came in, and people that are still out there spreading it, and we know they're fudging the numbers, guys. So you heard it from a professional, 75 to 100,000. Yeah, and I put to you, that's just the infected end, possibly. And when it gets to be like that, it's going to be hard to control the situation, guys. I mean, this is not fear porn channel. This is like, wake up, see the light, get prepared, because if this thing starts going awry over here, you're going to, personally, at some point, if this thing gets ugly, I'm doing lockdown. I mean, you can make fun of me or laugh at me or whatever, but you know, I'm going to lock it down. To the point to where if it was in my neighborhood, I would take like what you do when you have windows that aren't sealed real good, or modern windows are gas charged or dual pane. In the old days, we used to take like certain types of saran wrap and plastic and put it on the windows and seal off the airflow. Of course, at that point, boy, it becomes very tough because you're looking at no fresh air in, no fresh air out. You still got a chance to have contaminants come in. But, I mean, that's usually what we do when we've talked about in the past for if nuclear situation was to go off. You know, and tape up all your vents and that kind of thing. Because most homes, believe it or not, if you seal up a house, it's still going to breathe some. Good or bad, it's still going to breathe. So, I mean, if worst scenario really came down to it and you just had certain vents that you had fresh air coming out and blowing air out the other way, you could take charcoal, break it up real fine, and put it in some kind of netting or clothes. There's recipes out there. Believe it or not, fish filters with charcoal work really good for that kind of thing. And so back to this gentleman, he's one of the ones I would trust his opinion. Personally.
Believe that the spread of the coronavirus could become a pandemic. That's an ongoing epidemic on 2 or more continents. Could that happen, and what would the impact of that be?
Well, certainly it could happen. I think if we do not recognize the possibility that that could happen as being unrealistic, because this is now, we're in the middle of an evolving situation with a virus that we've never had any other experience with up until just most recently. I mean, we have a month and a few days worth of experience with a virus that's rapidly accelerating in China and has already been, mostly through travel, through 26 plus countries, including the United States. So whether or not this becoming an ongoing outbreak in multiple countries spread throughout the world, hence making it be defined as a pandemic, we don't have any idea of that, but it certainly could happen. And that's the reason why I've been quoted as saying it is certainly possible that this could turn into, by definition, a real pandemic.
So, Dr. Fauci, give.
And with that, we're going to call this part 2. Went a little longer than I thought I was going to run. But we had so much fun doing dishes tonight. It's just like, you know, I had to come in and just burn some more energy, guys. Because I had a coffee today. And you know what coffee does. Yeah. It keeps your motor going for some of us. And with that, I'm going to let you go till the next part. And remember, healthcare sucks! Over and out, my friends.